Hi traders, Joseph here from Eightcap. Welcome to today's market update for the 16th of the 10th. So happy Friday, and hopefully we will all have a pleasant weekend to come. So first of all, we're just going to have a look at a couple of things overnight which were quite interesting. The main one being the fight back on US indexes. So we saw a very strong move down, well, a fairly strong move down of over 1%, which then was clawed back late in the session. So just looking at that, we could set strong move and then that nice rally up to finish the session. So that move got going into the US session, and buying didn't really sort of stop until very late in the session. We saw a bit of a move down. The interesting factor is we're still seeing these breaks of trend. So the picture hasn't changed too much on the 4-hour. The daily though, we're still seeing a slight hold, but there is a fair bit of pressure remaining still. But there is a lot of demand coming in from anywhere really below the just looking for a good round number, anywhere really from below 28,400, so all the way down to 28,150, and this was seen as well on the Nasdaq as well. So the fight back on the US 30 was probably the strongest, but it did really cross most of the indices as well for last night's session on the US. So it'll be a little bit of interest to see tonight if that does maintain and if that does turn into further demand. Now on the other side of the picture, we're seeing continued demand and strength from from safe haven currencies to risk, and we're seeing after last night's move lower on the Aussie, there's further selling today, but as of yet it hasn't been a real strong move yet. So, and we are still seeing that low. So sellers will need to break that low that we start really suggesting, new ground. And over on the euro as well, a similar story. We are seeing some demand and support trying to form from around that 1703 area. So we'll see if that can hold or if there is a new break and new weekly lows put in. We're going to have a good look at the cable in a minute, which is the Great Britain pound USD, but we're just going to quickly just finish having a look at a couple of markets. So just from risk to the yen, it's a similar story to the USD, and we can see that the pound's just edged into new weekly lows in today's session, but we will have to see if that can be extended or if there's going to be a bit of a kickback. So there is plenty of demand from this, basically from 135.77 down to around 135.17. Buyers have been pretty active around those areas once it's been reached, and we did see just a couple of days ago once sellers tested into that area, was quickly rejected and fought back. But the main point that we're going to get onto at the moment is these breaks. So we've seen pretty much confirmed breaks now. So whether or how significant they're going to be is yet to be determined, but we're seeing trend break here, and we're seeing breaks of the recovery rallies here, forming new lower highs, and we're seeing further selling pressure. So the question I'm starting to think to myself is, are we going to see a new leg lower, potentially start trying to test some levels not seen since September, when around the 135 area, so down to possibly if sellers got going around the 134 area. So a lot will depend on if we do see follow through tonight, and if that failed rally in yesterday's session, which turned into a solid move lower, if that does back up further today, and then we do see a new extension lower. So that's one of the primaries we're watching now. The cable is virtually the same, so we're seeing this trend break here, which is the medium term, longer term trend. We've had that rally down here, we found a bit of low, then we've come back up, and we've made a new high breaking the downtrend here. But now what we're seeing is a break of this recovery trend, and we've had a new lower high there with a new break, and we're seeing, similar to the pound yen, we're seeing more selling after a failed rally has come down. It's still an inside bar compared based on yesterday's session, but if we do get a confirmation and a break of that trend and a new move lower, then we'll be starting to think that, is this a lower high being confirmed, and if it is going to be a new push lower that, if sellers got going, could target potentially 127, or at a minimum, try and come down to test that 1.2865 area. And if we did get down to that area, there could be a bit of a fight back, as we've seen, very similar to the pound yen. We saw sellers come down to that area this week and was quickly rejected and reversed back up, but it has been followed up straight away yesterday by a strong move down lower. So that's why we're starting to think that this break of this trend has a little bit more credibility now, but it's now up to sellers to really prove that with a new push lower, just to show that they are holding and controlling momentum. So that's a couple of the key things we're keeping an eye on tonight. Now we're just going to finally just touch on the UK100. We saw a lot of strong selling yesterday on European indices, and that was followed up by a sharp pullback from lows, and currently at the moment we're seeing some solid support still holding around 58 to 58.10 for the UK 100. And again, we'll be looking to see if seller momentum does carry on, as we've had that break here and a new lower high, if we do see another test of this support area. So while this support area holds, around that 58.10 point, then the market for now remains, still in a bit of a 50-50 range. It's at sort of at the mid area of the range right now, so we wouldn't be looking to take any positions or try and find the direction just yet. We'd be looking to see if this support hold that we saw last night comes to be something a little bit more and maybe produces a rally, and then we'll be looking for the upside to be broken. But if that fails and we see a new move lower, we'd be really looking for sellers to break that support area. And we were looking at the weekly yesterday, and the reason why we were looking at it is that we can see a break of recovery trend, a lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower low here, and we've had a couple higher lows and a couple more lower highs. So that was what we were seeing last night, just priced there as if it was going to break. And then basically the idea before we saw that snapback from stocks was, were we seeing what's called a dead cat bounce, which could be starting to open up the possibility of a new leg lower. But for now, the key really remains around this support here, and on the daily we can see that support very clearly. The first level is sitting around what we just spoke about before at 58.10, and then which goes down to 57.85, and then we have a little bit more support, which has been previous support but hasn't been tested recently, around the 56.54. So that's the real key area that sellers have to sort of break through to try to get this trend to continue and back on track. So, but otherwise, all of this demand could start feeding something further, and if we had a new higher low, that could be starting to suggest that there could be a new move back to test resistance. So that's some of the things we're keeping an eye on, and some of the levels that we are watching at the moment going through to tonight. So at the moment we've hit 5 o'clock in Melbourne, so we have about 1 hour before the London session gets underway. So keep an eye on the pound tonight, and just on European stocks in general if we do see further selling. And that was all kicked off with European nations going back into virus restrictions being imposed due to high rates of infections once again emerging in Europe. So sorry for the longer than normal report today. So try and wrap it up quickly, but we do thank you for watching and listening, and wish you good trading for the rest of the session. And just if you didn't see what was coming up, we have retail sales from the US coming out tonight at 11:30 Australian Eastern Daylight Saving Time. And until next week, have a fantastic weekend, and bye for now.